I think that the foreign advisors are necessary. This is clear. Otherwise, I had to go too. But I think not that we should drive the discussion, but we should help them to find an own way to solve their problems. Yes, we can contribute with our experience, but it was said also in many discussions, you never can copy an experience. So somehow, always a solution will be developed in a new way. Nevertheless, so we should find another relationship between foreign advisors, since here, when the Americans don't agree with something and the Europeans don't agree with something, then it doesn't happen. And this is the truth, and this is what Kosovars see every day. And this is undermining also the trust to us foreigners. This is not only not helping in the situation at the end of the story, but it's undermining the trust. And of course, we should have in mind first their interests and not ours. This is also something which would lead us to work with other partners on the political level than we do recently. We discussed it many times already, and of course I cannot give you a clear answer. I can give you, let's say, parts of an answer. The first is, the youngsters don't expect very much, so you cannot be disappointed. The second is that the youngsters here in this country still have a kind of traditional social network which is called family, which we don't know in Western Europe in this way. So a youngster here never can fall in a deep hole without stop. So we have, despite the fact that we have a youth unemployment of 70%, despite the fact that they are not satisfied with nearly everything what is happening in the country, we have on the other side the situation that they don't fear for their future, because somehow it will work. They even can become 40 and have a family. If nothing works, they can still live in the house of the parents, so they are somehow safe. Third facet of this answer could be that meanwhile the people are used to plan their life only from one day to the other. They don't have mid and long-term perspectives any longer. Here, too many people really have to see how to manage the day which comes. And again, there is not so much expectation, and you cannot become so disappointed. Yeah, it's a long story. First of all, I would like to quote an interesting writer here of Kosovo, Veton Soroy, who said, you cannot make an agreement between two countries with non-democratic governments. This is true, because if the governments don't have a dialogue with their own people, why shall they be successful in a dialogue in between? Second is, when we define dialogue, we define it as a talk between persons who all are interested in finding a solution. And I'm in a deep doubt that these persons are really willing to find a solution. So this means at the end of the story we need new actors. We need new actors, might be even actors who are very harsh in their recent position. But somebody said peace is not made between friends but between enemies. So what I mean is that those who have a clear position and are representing the majority of their country are the best negotiators for a solution. And I think in both cases it is not recently it's not the case. to the last part of the question, I'm not quite sure. I fear that we come nearer, Western Europeans and Eastern Europeans, with renationalization. We also see that in the Western European countries that we have more nationalistic attitudes, also with youngsters who are in the normal parties. So here we have to see that the parents' generation of former Yugoslavia, they could travel not only between the 6 countries, they could travel to Europe. They were used to be somewhere outside. They were part of Europe as Yugoslavians. Even when Kosovo was, let's say, not the highest ranking part of Yugoslavia, but they were used to do that. So they are much more open-minded than youngsters who, in case of Kosovo, even don't get a visa for traveling and don't have money for traveling. I met in my international seminars with the youngsters so many of them who were the first time in another country, 18-year-old youngsters. They said, oh, I never was here, and it's so interesting. It is completely different than my prejudices. So from this point of view, we should organize everyday exchanges. But to be frankly, it is let's say, the policy of the open-minded parents' generation which made the borders for the youngsters. And we have this renationalization. They only hear the stories of the wars, etc. So they don't have positive experience with their neighbors. The parents had, even when they had a war in between. Yeah, it sounds a bit curious, but it is the case. The youngsters don't have positive experience with the youngsters from the other side.